So, I've been trying to figure out how to tell the story that was going to be this day. Today is court day for a dispute I've been having with the Tollway company in Texas. I've been trying to find a way to tell this story in an entertaining way that will at the same time be useful, and I'm not sure that either of those things can be done. So I'm just going to tell the story and hope you can get something out of it. Cliff Notes version. A few years ago, the Tollway company, and every time I say company in this story, just imagine air quotes around it. I love this Starbucks cup, but it rattles constantly when you're driving because it's made out of metal. Alright, we're here. We're like 5 minutes away from being late. I'm not sure if they're going to let me record anything in there. Probably not. I will record as much as I can and explain if I have time. Otherwise, we'll catch up afterwards. I had a 1 p.m. today.
I'm not afraid of it.
Didn't show on the 11th, and it showed cause hearing.
So I guess that was the discrepancy. We did pick a date. Maybe it didn't get recorded.
It doesn't say anywhere that the specific date was passed.
Well, I'm not trying to fool you. Like, I took off work. All right, let me explain. Really long, multi-year story short. Here we go. We have the North Texas Tollway Authority here, NTTA. In the past, for years, I would use the tollway, I would build up some charges on the account, I would call in and I'd pay them off. At some point, they changed their policy to require that you have a credit card on file, and then they would pre-charge a balance into your account, and then you would use the tollway and it would remove that balance, and when it hit zero, they would charge it up again. They changed this policy without telling anyone, or at least didn't tell me, so I built up a balance, I called in to pay it, and they charged me higher rates. So even though I had a toll tag account, and I should have been charged the toll tag rates, because I had a negative balance, which was now officially a bad thing, they were going to charge me the non-toll tag account rates. So I offered to pay what I owed, what I had been paying for years until they changed their policy. They refused, and so I refused, and so literally years later, multiple attempts that I won't go into of me calling them and trying to work out a deal to offer to bring the account current. Unfortunately, they have almost entirely wrapped the entire Dallas-Fort Worth area in tollways, so it's nigh impossible to not drive on toll roads. My balance continued to grow at the non-toll tag rate. I gave them multiple opportunities, like I said, over many phone calls to let me pay what I actually owed, bring the account current, and even offered to give them a credit card so they could do their balance withholding thing going forward. Didn't happen. I couldn't understand why they were just completely obstinate and had no, I guess for most companies, remember how we talked about like companies with bad customer service, there's always something out of whack. And this situation was definitely out of whack. Any company in their right mind that had a customer actively calling them, attempting to give them money, would have worked with them. These people did not. I found out what was out of whack. They are basically snuggled deep in bed with the Texas state government. Apparently, when Texas offers bonds to have tollways built, as part of that bond, they also agree to basically be the bill collecting, enforcing arm for that company. The company doesn't have to or need to even talk to me, to even negotiate with me, because they can just sick their goons on me. They can sick the state of Texas's guys with guns on me if I don't pay. And that's what happened. So they accused me of being effectively a scofflaw, toll tag runner, not paid for person in a court of law, and now I'm having to negotiate with guys with guns over a private matter that should have been resolved and would have been resolved very quickly and easily had this been a normal company. And so many court days later, it's a never-ending stream, and the NTTA knows it. The last time I was in court, I was face-to-face with a representative from the NTTA, and I put the case forward to her. about her company basically not needing to negotiate because they can collude with the guys with guns and basically hold me at gunpoint to get their money however they want their money. First of all, she had no shame, of course. If she was ashamed, she wouldn't come to work every day. So I thought I had like an ace in the hole, right? I said, well, I mean, my case is pretty straightforward. I'm not trying to rob anybody. I'm not trying to get out of paying my toll fees. I'm just trying to pay what I owe and no more than what I owe. So I thought it would be an easy thing to just say, okay, well, I'll request a jury trial. I'll explain the situation to the jurors and they'll throw it out. I also thought that you have a jury trial, they throw the case out. Now I basically took away the NTTA's guns, and now they might have to negotiate with me. Turns out, the way the deal's set up, every time I drove through a toll booth, they could, if they wanted to, submit as a separate case entirely. What that means is a separate pretrial date, a separate negotiation, a separate jury trial, and we're talking probably about, 1,000 times I may have gone through the toll booth, maybe 500 to 1,000 times. So she just sat there with this shitty, smug look on her face saying, well, even if you want a jury trial, we'll just move down the list to the next one and start the whole process over. So if I wanted to fight this on principle, I would literally have to spend the rest of my life setting court dates, resetting court dates, going to pretrials, and talking to juries. I guess the point of the story is, again, something is seriously out of whack. And in this case, we have a corporation that has colluded with the government and the government's guns to have a monopoly and to have their bills collected. It's a disgusting, twisted, perverted version of reality where companies can use the government to get ahead, to get one over on their customers, to not even really need the consent of their customers. When you let companies get into these positions, the people, the customers, us, we always lose. So for me, it comes down to how much of my life, time, effort, and money do I want to spend fighting this on principle? Because on one hand, I have a real duty and a responsibility to my family to manage our finances wisely, to not waste or to not do everything I can to keep from getting robbed by people like this. Certainly the best financial answer would just be to bow down and pay them and go and make them go away. But that's the principle of the matter. And I wouldn't be me if I didn't stand up very, very stubbornly, doggedly for principle. My wife and my family wouldn't even recognize me if I didn't do that. In this case, though, because they are fully ready, willing, and prepared to bring 999 more of these cases, I think it's a lost battle. I think the people that put this company in this position won this battle a long time ago. So what will I do? Well, for one thing, if we all just refuse to associate with people that were involved in these businesses, make them social pariahs, social outcasts, maybe they would be less likely to get involved and collude with the government for crap like this. For example, when I go through the TSA line, something I'm sure will be shown on this vlog someday, it's a pretty exciting experience. And by exciting, I mean I literally make it as uncomfortable for these trying not to use explicatives. I try and make it as uncomfortable as possible for these TSA employees, these TSA agents, because they're doing a terrible, evil job that doesn't need to be done. It's not even effective. And even if it was effective, it's evil. But one of the things I tell the people is that not only should they be absolutely ashamed of the job that they're doing, of going to work every day and doing that to people against their consent, but that as a person in business, if I ever see TSA work experience on a resume, that person will never have a job. I will never give them a dime of my money. And so if they're smart, they will quit their job and hide the fact that they ever worked there. That's the kind of social pressure that we can use to keep people out of doing these terrible jobs. Oh, you're the judge that works tollway cases and basically is a bill collector for a company? Oh, you're the constable that goes and literally threatens people with arrest and jail time for not showing up to these court dates for this tollway crap? Well, you better not ever come looking for a job with me, because there will not be one. There will not be a job. There will not be a friendship. I would never be friends with people that do this stuff. Hell, I probably wouldn't even sit at the same dinner table with them. That's the kind of social pressure that needs to be brought to bear to make these changes. You're not going to make these changes. You're not going to fix things by running to the government again to try and change things. Because every time you do that, it just gets bigger and worse and more broken.
it's like a day later. Like one day you're 17 and they're like, okay, cool, you're in high school, you're 17, you're expected to have like a car and stuff like that. Once you turn 18, it's like, okay, what's your life plan? Like, what are you doing? Okay, are you still living with your parents? Oh, okay, you are. Okay, you know, it's just like a day later into January, and all of a sudden, people start asking you different questions.